Very good evening, everyone. Please let me know, am I audible or not? I hope you all are doing very well. Please let me know, am I audible or not? Thank you, everyone, for your kind response. It is our day 2 for the front end workshop, right? And in today's workshop, we are going to understand about the context API, which is a very important thing in React. If you are working with React, then you should have the idea of context API for handling the state management, right? So in today's workshop, we are going to learn about context API, and we will also implement the context API. Okay, are you excited or not? Please let me know in the comment box, guys. Please let me know. Okay, everyone, let's begin today's workshop. First of all, we should understand what is context API, and before understanding the context API, we should understand what is props. Okay, so props is like, you can say, it is a medium using which you can send some data from one component to another component. Like, it's a component A, okay, and here another component called B, okay. Suppose you want to send some data from A to B, so on that time you can use props, okay. Now, uh, how the props looks like, okay. Suppose it's a component called homepage, okay. Suppose it's your parent component, okay, and here is your child component called uh, child, okay. It's your child component. Now you want to send some data, then you can write here like name, and what will be its value, you can pass it in this manner, and another is id, okay. So that is the basically props, and it is the basic syntax of a props, right? But if you use props, then you can manage your state. That is very basic, but sometimes it brings some difficulty. If you want to send some data from the very outer layer to its very inner layer, on that time it will uh, definitely give you some kind of headache, okay. Like, just let me show you. Suppose these are layers. Layers means basically they are the individual components. Like, it's a component of, it's a component, okay. It's a B component, okay. Just let me write it first, okay. It's a C component, and it's the D component, okay. Now if you want to send some data from this A to B, then it is a very much easy to send the data, right? Because B is present inside the A, and it is only its one child component, right? So there is no problem. But if you want to send some data from A to C, okay, or A to D, on that time you have to face some difficulties. What kind of difficulties? Suppose you want to send some data from A to B, so not A to D. So for that you have to send the data first from A to B, okay. Then B will send that data to C component. After that C will send the data to the D component, okay. बेसिकली मेरा ये बोलने का मतलब ये है, अगर आप वेरी मच आउटर लेयर से एक इनर लेयर तक अगर डेटा को आप सेंड करना चाहोगे, ऑन दैट टाइम यू हैव टू फेस सम डिफिकल्टीज लाइक देयर इज नो नेसेसरी टू, क्या है ना, बी को उस डेटा का कोई मतलब नहीं है वहां पर, सी को भी कोई मतलब नहीं है उस डेटा से, ओनली डी को मतलब है उस डेटा से, राइट। तो इसमें आप डेटा को हर एक लेयर पे शेयर कर रहे हो, वो शेयर नहीं होना चाहिए बेसिकली। तो उसी चीज को अवॉइड करने के लिए, फॉर अवॉइडिंग दिस काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन, वी कैन यूज द कंटेक्स्ट एपीआई, and context API will act like a global variable, okay. Just think it's a global variable like context, okay. And every component, any component can access individually of this context, okay. Any component can access this context. We don't have to share from one component to another component. So it is the basic theory of a context API, right? I hope you have understood what is context API. Please let me know in the comment box. Have you understood or not? If you have not understood this concept yet, I will definitely try to explain it once again. Please let me know, guys. Please let me know, everyone, have you understood or not what is context API and why we should use the context API for handling the state management. Please let me know in the comment box. Okay, I hope you have understood what is context API and why we should use the context API, right? Okay, let's go to our VS Code and try to code something, right? Okay, first of all, let me share the screen. I hope my entire screen is visible. Please let me know, guys. Okay, first of all, I have to create another React application for implementing the context API. So for that, I have to run a command called npm create read@latest. After that, what will be the folder name? Suppose the folder name will be context API. Context API. Okay. Now it will take some time. I have to choose the React and the variant will be normal JavaScript. Okay. Now I have to change the directory to context API, and after that I have to install the npm first. Okay. Okay, guys. Okay. So that is the basic fundamental of context API. There is another option. You can also handle the state management in a very efficient manner by using RTK, means Redux Toolkit. Okay, in React, you can use either context API or you can use the Redux Toolkit. Okay, So you can also manage the states using these two things, right, in a very efficient manner. So in upcoming boot camps, I will show you the implementation of a Redux toolkit, but in this workshop, we will only discuss about context API. Okay. Okay, it takes too much time, guys. Just give me a second. Yes, you are absolutely right. It also prevents the prompt drilling. Means you are going to send some data from very outer layer to its inner layer. Then inner layer will send the data to its inner layer, and it will prevent that kind of situations. Okay. First of all, let me clear the app.jsx file, and I will take a boilerplate RFCE. Okay. Now, first of all, how we can create a context? It is very much simple. React also provides you a hook, which is called create context. So using that create context, you can create a global context, right? And after creating any context, how you can use that context? Okay. So you can use another hook, which is also React provides, use context. Okay. So create context will help you to create a context, and use context will help you to use a context that you have already been created. Okay. Okay, I hope you have understood. We are going to use these two hooks. Okay. Now, first of all, how we can create a context? Very much easy. Go inside the src folder and create a new folder, and give it a name called context. Okay. Inside the context folder, we are going to create our context. First of all, I will give a name like test context, because I am going to give you an example of context API. For that, I will create a test context.js. Okay, just give me a second, everyone. Test context.js. Yes, right. Now, first of all, I have to import a hook, which is popularly known as create context. Okay, so that's the hook. Now I have to create a context, right? Okay, let me turn off my tab 9. Okay, now I have to create a context. For creating a context, I can use that create context hook, and I have to invoke it in this manner. Okay, and after that, I have to store the reference of it, like test context. Okay, that is a pretty easy, right? So by writing these two lines, you can easily create a context. Okay. After creating the context, you have to export it, like export a default test context. The very first thing, you have to import the hook create context that will help you to create a context, right? So for creating a context, you have to invoke that hook and store a reference in a variable. After that, just export that variable. Okay. Please let me know in the comment box, have you understood or not how you can create a context? Just let me know, everyone. I hope you have understood how you can create a context, right? Now we have create the context. Now we have to create a provider. Using that provider, you can use that context, right? So the next thing, you have to create another file, and I will give the name of that file will be test context provider.jsx. Okay, the extension of that file will be JSX, and first of all I will type RFCE for the basic boilerplate, right? And then you have to import the test context that you have already created in your file, right? So very first thing, you have to import the test context, right? Next thing, you can see here this is two divs, right? So you have to interchange this two divs with this test context. So just copy it from here and paste it here, right? And after that, you have to write dot provider dot provider. Okay, that's pretty easy. And now you have to assume that you will get something. Okay, you will get something to this function or to this component. So I will assume that I will get something and I will give it a name called children. Okay, after getting that children, I have to pass that children as it is here. The very first thing, you have to import the test context and wrap this text context in this manner. Then you have to add a provider, and using that provider you can use that context. Okay, after that, I have to assume that I will receive some props or some data to that component. So I have to destructure it first in this manner, and I have just give it a name called children. And after that, I will pass that children as it is by opening a curly braces, and inside the curly braces I have passed this children here, right? And I will show you a demo example, like I will use the use state hook like const data and set data. Means I will send some data to the context API, and after that I will grab that data from another component without using any props. Okay, react dot use state, and its value will be null. Okay, and I will pass this data and also the set data. The data is a variable and set data is a function. And how can I pass it? By writing this value, and I will destructure the value, and I will pass data and also the set data. So you can see here you have successfully created a context by writing these 3 lines. That is very much easier for you. After that, you have to create a provider. Okay, for creating a provider you have to import that test context. So you can see here I have already imported the test context here. After that, you have to wrap this test context using this manner, and you have to add a provider on it, right? And let's assume that I will get some data, and the data will be in the form of children. So I have just destructured it by writing the children, and I have just passed it in this manner. Okay, and also I have created this thing called data and set data, and also I have passed these two variable and function by writing value equal to this. Okay, I hope you have understood, right? Now the next thing is you have to go inside the app.jsx and import the test context provider. Okay, and wrap this thing in this manner. Okay, now just create two another components. Okay, the first component using which I will send some data. Okay, like send data.jsx. I will take a boilerplate, an FCE, and here I will just only write an input field. Okay, and I will just create a button and send. Okay, and also I have to use that context because I will send some data using that input field, and I will save that data into this data filter, right? So for that reason, I have to import the test context, and also I need use context hook, because already I have told you, if you want to access any variable of a context global API, so for that you have to write the use context hook. Okay, and suppose I have to create another hook called input set input, and I will take that react dot use state, and it will be an empty. First of all, what kind of data I will give to this input field? It will be set automatically to this input variable, right? So for that I have created this use state. Okay, for handling this input value. So I will use an on change event, and suppose I will assume that I will take something from here. So I have write the e, and I will use the set input function, and inside the set input I will take e dot target dot value. So it will give you the value whatever I will write inside that input field, and it will automatically send to that input variable, right? That's pretty easy, I hope. Okay, now the next thing, I have to use the set data function to set something to this data variable, right? So how can I do that? So first of all, you have to use the use context hook. So I have to write use context. Now which context I want to use? I want to use the text context, right? And here if you notice that there is a function which I have sent, right? One is a data and one is set data. So I have to take this set data for save any value, right? So here I will destructure the set data, and I will also create a function const handle submit e dot prevent default. Okay, the main purpose of writing the e dot prevent default is I don't want to send any data via any URL. So for preventing that kind of situation, I have just written the e dot prevent default, right? Now I want to save that data using the set data function, right? So I will just call set data, and I want to set the data which is input, right? That is pretty easy. I have to just take the access of that text context, and using that text context, I have just sent a data, right? Now I have already sent the data. Now it's a time to retrieve that data, right? So for that I will create another component which will be called receive data.jsx. Okay, first of all, here you can see that I have already sent that data, right? And that data is already present inside the data variable. So I have to access this data variable for taking that data, right? So for that reason, you have to import the test context. After that, you also need the context, use context hook, right? And here I will destructure it first, like const data, and after that I will use the use context hook. And which context I want to use? I want to use the test context, right? Now I will just remove that return statement, and I will also put an if and an else block, like if there is a no data, if there is a no data on that time, just return basic div, and inside the div no data found, there will be a message called no data found. And if there is any data on that time, I will return another div called data found, and after that I will also mention that data will be data. Okay, that's pretty easy. So I have created a context API, and I also use a use state hook for managing a state, basic state. And in from the sent data component, I have just set a data to the data variable, and in receive data component, I have just take the access of the data variable, and I am just showing or displaying that data. So first of all, I have to go the in app.jsx file, and here I have to import send data first, and also the receive data. Okay, now we are good to go for starting our server. So I have to write npm run day, and here you can see our server is now running. Let me open it first. Localhost 5173. Okay, I hope you can see here. Here's an input field, and here's a button called send, right? And here you can see the message no data found. And when we will get that message, we will get that message only in one condition. If there is no data on that time, we will receive that message. Okay, now let's send some data from here, like codex enter. Okay, and if I click on this send button, okay, why it is not working? Okay guys, just let me check it. I think there is some problem. Okay, just let me debug it first. Okay, everything is fine here. Data test context, yes, I have used it here. Set data, yes, set data. Okay, I think you have now noticed what mistake I have done. I have created the handle submit function, but I have not used the on click event. Okay, on click, and inside the on click I will use the handle submit. Okay, now I think it will work, I hope. Now let's send a data like cxi, and if I send it, here you can see I have just received that data cxi. And if I remove it and just send it, now you can see there is a no data. And if I put some data, you can see I can access that data. Okay, I hope you have understood the concept of context API? Just let me know in the comment box, guys. After that, we will create our to-do app using this context API. Just let me know, everyone. Have you understood or not this concept? It is pretty much easy. First of all, you have to create a basic context by writing these 3 lines, right? After that, you will create a provider. It is also a very small syntax for creating a provider, right? And just use that provider to set any data or to retrieve any data. Okay, everyone, please let me know in the comment box, have you understood or not? After that, we will start the to-do application. Okay, I hope you have understood the concept. Okay, now just let me just delete these files first, and also these components. Okay, and I don't think there is no need of it, so I will just keep here a div. Okay, now we are going to create our React application, but before creating our to-do application, let's create our context. Okay, so because I am going to use that context for the to-do application, so I will give it a name like to-do context.js. Okay, now you can tell me how can we create a context. That's very easy. Just import the hook called create context. After that, invoke that hook and store it inside a variable and just export that variable, right? So let's do that thing. Import create context, then to do context, and inside the to do context, I will invoke the create context. Very much easy. After that, I will export that to do context. I have already explained you how to create a context, right? Now I think you have understood. These are 3 lines. After that, already we have created our context, right? Now I have to create a provider, and using that provider, you can access or you can retrieve value from the context API. So for that, I will create another file and I will give it a name called to do context provider.jsx. Okay, and I will take the basic boilerplate. First of all, if you have already created the provider, then you have to import the to do context first, because without using the to do context, you cannot create any provider. And next thing, you have to interchange these 2 divs by writing the to do context dot provider. Okay, that's a very easy. Now let's assume that I will receive some data to that provider, and the data will be in the form of children. Let's assume that, and I will pass that data as it is. Okay, pretty easy, right? Now I am going to create a to do application, right? So for that, I have to import a hook called use state hook, right? And I will create a state called const to dos, and inside that to dos variable, our all to dos will be listed. Okay, and there will be another function set to dos, and this set to dos function will help you to set any to do into our to dos variable, right? So use state and I will make the to-dos variable as an array, because inside that array I will keep multiple lists, means multiple objects in the form of to-do list. Okay. Now the next thing, I have to create a function that will help you to add a to-do, like const add to do. Okay. And could you please tell me, if I want to list a to do on that time, what data should I need for creating a new to do? I hope you have already guessed. You should need the only text, to do text, like I have to go to school at 9 p.m. So it will be a text. I have to go to school at 9 p.m. or sorry at 9 a.m. So you should need only that text. So I will pass a parameter called text, and I will check if there is any text or not. If there will be no text on that time, I will return the null, and if there will be a text, then I will create an object called to do. First of all, I have to provide the to do text, so there will be a to do text, and the to do text will be that normal text, right? And I will put another field called is completed. And why should I put the is completed flag? Because whenever you will create a new to do, on that time that to do will not be completed, right, until and unless you are pressing any button, any completing button, right? So is completed will be false. And I will put another field called id for the updation purpose and for the deletion purpose. Okay. So the id, let's assume that it will take the date of date and date dot now. Okay. So it will give you a random milliseconds. Perfect. So we have created our to do, means our object. Now we have to put that to do inside that to do's variable. How can I do that? Very much easy. There is a function called set to do's, right? So just take the set to do's, and if you notice, this to do's is an array, right? So I will take that to do's, and in array we have a method called push, and I will push the to do. Okay, that's a very easy. So I have created a state for handling all the to do's, and also I have created a function that will help you to add a to do. Now I have to send those values. How can I send that? By writing value, and here I have to send the add to do function, and also I have to send the to do's for listing all the to do's, right? So it is our basic provider. I think you have understood this is a provider. The next thing is I have to go inside the app.jsx, and I have to import the to do context provider, and I will wrap this to do context provider on the field of div. Okay. Now inside the component, I have to create a new file which will be name of to do input.jsx and rfce. First of all, I need the use state hook for handling the text data of any to do, right? So I will take the use state first, and I will create a state here called uh, input state input and use state, and inside the use state I will just give it a default value as an empty string, right? And inside the div I will only provide an input field, and I will only provide I will provide a button, and called add to do. Okay, that's a pretty easy, right? And okay, it's a to-do list, right? So I will put that to-do list here. To-do list, not to-do list, to-do input. Okay, I hope my server is running. Okay, let's check it. Okay, now you can see here there's an input field and there is a button called add a to-do, right? Okay, now I have to set a to-do, right? So for setting a to-do, I have to take the access of this add a to-do function, right? So for that, I have to use another hook called use context. So using the use context hook, you can use any kind of context. Now I will write context const and use context, and inside the use context I have to pass that context, and you can see here I have not imported that context, so I have to import the to do context, and I will put that context inside the use context hook, right? That's a pretty easy. And which value should I want to access? I want to access a function, basically add to do. So using the add to do, I can set a to do, right? So first of all, I have to handle this input, because whatever I will write inside the input field, I have to store the value inside the input variable. For that, I will use an event called onChange, and inside the onChange, I will get a parameter called e, and I will use set input e dot target dot value. So by writing e dot target dot value, I can assign the value whatever I will write inside the input field in this input variable, right? Okay, please, everyone, please let me know, have you understood or not these concepts? I know these are some difficult concepts, but I assure you, we are going to launch some training programs of 2 months in which you can learn these things from the very basic, level, and you can also master it. If you don't know about React, no problem. We are here to teach you what is React and how you can implement any application using React. Okay, but this is a workshop, right? So we cannot start with the ground level. Now we have to create another function for handling the submission of that to do. So const handle add to do. First of all, I will provide here a parameter e, and I will write e dot prevent default, and after that I will just simply take that add to do function and I will put the input field here. Okay, just this function will help you to add a to do inside your context API. So I will use an on click event, and inside on click I will use handle add to do. Okay, pretty easy. Now let's create another component that will help you to list out all the to dos. So to do list dot jsx. I will take a boilerplate RFCE. The very first thing, I have to import a hook called use context, because I have to take the access of all the to dos, right? Now, first of all, I have to import the to do context. Okay, I will destructure it, and I want to use the use context first, and inside the use context, right, inside the use context I will use the to do context. And if you go to the this file, then you can see here I have sent the data called to dos, basically this variable, right? So I will take that to dos and I will put it here. Okay, and I just display all the to-dos. How can I do that? I will open a curly braces, and if you remember, this to-dos variable is nothing but an array. Here you can see here, this is an array, right? So I can use any kind of loops on array, right? So I will take the to-dos and I will prefer to use the map, and inside the map I will get the individual to-do. Okay, and what I should return, I will return a div. Okay, and inside the div there will be a paragraph, and inside that paragraph there will be the to-do text. To text, how can I access that to text? To do dot to do text, because if you go inside the to do context provider, here you can see I have already declared a field called to do text, right? So here if I write to do dot to do text, then the text will be displayed here. After that I will put another button called delete and update. Okay, now let's go to the app.jsx and import this to do list here. Okay, so I have that's enough for listing a to do. Okay, let's check it, guys, whether it is working or not. Okay, first of all, let's reload it, and let's suppose I want to add a to do. Okay, it gives some error. To do's dot map is not a function. Add a to do list. Okay, let me check it, guys. To do's, yes, to do's, and to do list. Okay, I have just written this div to do dot to do text to do's. Okay, okay, just let me check it, guys, one more time. Okay, now this is, it just gives the error one more time. Just let me check it, guys, just give me a second. Okay, I think I don't need to use the return statement inside the map. Okay, still it gives the error. uh, what is the problem? Let me check it, guys. To do context, yes, I have used the to do context, and I also access the to do's here. Yes, what is the problem? To do dot to do text, yes, it is also is present here. Delete. Okay, if I remove this div, then let's see what happened here. Okay, okay, it will give serious error. What is the problem here? State, yes, everything is working here. Add to do, add to do. Okay, just let me change the syntax here. State to do's, and I will, let's assume I will take some values, and I will use the return statement, and I will destructure that brave here, and after that I will just place the to do here. Okay, and let's check it, guys. Yes, now it is working. Okay, I know it does not look so good. Just let me fix it first. Okay, I will just take the two things from here, and I will put it here. Okay, if I reload it, yes, now you can see here this is working, right? Means we can set our to do easily. If I write first to do, and if I press on the to do button, Here you can see the first to do is a display, but it should be vanished this first to do text from that input field. So for that I will go inside the to do list, sorry, no, to do here, and I will set the set input as a empty string. Okay, and if I add this to do, okay, just let me reload it. Okay, why? Okay, just I have to put the value here, input. Okay, now if I add anything, here you can see it works perfectly, right? And now I have to implement another feature, like if I press on the delete button, then this to do should be vanished from here, right? So how can I do that? So I have to go inside the to do context provider, and I have to create another function like add to do. Okay, and the function name will be const delete to do. Okay, and on that delete to do I have to provide the id of that to do, basically, right? And simply I will use the set to do's function, and I will assume that I will take any previous values from here, and I have to use the prep, and on that prep I will use the filter. On that filter I will assume that I will get the individual to do, right? And which to do I will return? I will return only that to do's whose id will not be matched. Item dot id will not equal to id. Okay, that's pretty easy, right? And I have to pass that function here, delete to do. Okay, and let's go inside the to do list, and here I will take the delete to do, and I will put an on click event delete to do. Okay, and go inside the browser and add this to do, and if I click on this delete, okay, it is not working. Okay, I have to do something here. Okay, I think I have to return it. Okay, if I add anything here, okay, now it is not working still. I think there is a problem, guys. I think there is a problem. Just let me. Okay, I think return statement will be here because I have to return this thing, right? Okay. Oh, sorry everyone, sorry. That's a mistake by my side. I'm really very sorry for that mistake, guys. Still, it is not working. Set to do's. Why it is not working? Oh, now it is working, guys. I have to put the return statement. Here you can see I have added 4 to-dos, right? Now I want to delete the last to-do. Okay. So if I click on this delete button, oh, everything gone removed. Okay. Okay, 1 minute, guys. If there is no ID, so if there is ID on that time, I will use the return statement here. Otherwise I will return the prep. Okay. Now let's add a to do. Ah, but why it is not working, guys? Let me check it first. Return play dot filter. Yes, it is absolutely fine. Okay. I think I have made some mistake here, guys. Please let me check it first. Acha, I have to provide a unique value, right? I have to provide a unique value. Where should I put it here? Yes, I have to put it here. Called key to do dot id. Uh, Not working. Why it is not working? Sorry for that problem, guys. Let me check my notes one more time. Just sorry for that situation, guys. I'm really very sorry. Okay, just give me a second. I don't know why this is happening to me. Please let me check, guys. Okay, and I'm really very sorry for that situation. What is the problem here, guys? Let me check it first. Can anybody told me, guys, what is the problem I'm facing here? Anybody can told me, guys, what problem I am facing here? It will be very much helpful for me. Please let me know. So I'm using the filter here and item.id. Uh, Brave. Why it keeps some kind of error? Okay, I think there is a problem. To-do list. Key to do.id. Everything works perfectly, but I don't know why it is gives some kind of error. I'm really very sorry, guys. I don't know why I'm facing this kind of error. I have to debug it, and I also take some time for solving this kind of error, guys. And I don't know why it is happening today. But this is the very basic concept of context API. Okay, and just let me know, guys. Have you understood the context API or not? Please let me know. And I am really very sorry for the mistake. And I don't know why it gives this kind of error. And I really don't know. Okay, I think there is a problem here because this delete to do will also take an ID, right? Okay, delete to do will also take an ID. Now, if I use it, uh, ID is not defined. To-do.id, right? And if I click it, oh God. Oh, I am really very sorry, guys, for this kind of situation. And I hope you have understood this context API. And I'm really very sorry for this kind of error, guys. I don't know why it is happening. Okay, if you have any kind of doubt, you can ask me, guys. Please let me know if you have any kind of doubt or not. And I am really very sorry for this kind of error. Please let me know if you have any doubt. You can ask me, guys. Please let me know. Anyone, please let me know if you have any doubt or not. Okay, I think you have no doubt. Uh, I will fix this problem, and I will also put the code of this project into our group. So don't worry for this for the problem. Okay, and I am really very sorry for this issue. Okay, guys, I hope you have no problem and you have understood all these things. Okay, so I think let's wrap up with today's workshop. And I am really very sorry for this problem, guys. Okay, and I hope you have understood. Okay, okay, guys, thank you for joining today's workshop. And thank you, everyone, and very good night to all of you. Thank you, guys.